Well, hello everyone. After this short break, and now we have a very hopefully interesting session with the title Academic Career and Publishing in Top Journals. We have four panelists: Professor Wesley Johnston, Professor Cristina Mele, Professor Enrique Bigne, and Professor Barbara Niersbach. And what we have agreed is that we have in total 40 minutes. So the idea is first, Wes will start. We can give you 5 minutes. Then Cristina Mele, 5 minutes. The same for Enrique and the same for Barbara. This is a short presentation. And after this time, we will have another extra 20 minutes for Q&A. Okay, so my question for you, Wes, would be, based on your experience for so many years as an academic researcher and editor-in-chief of a journal, and also promoting this conference, a research center or CBIM, Center of Business and Industrial Marketing, in 4 or 5 minutes, what would you like to transmit to younger scholars about how to develop, let's say, a successful research career?
Success in research.
Yeah.
I think keep doing it. Don't ever stop. You have to have a number of resources. And what I've found as the most important resources were colleagues, both other academics and also doctoral students. So I've taught at 3 different universities, and my criteria for joining another university was always, did they have a doctoral program? And I was always heavily involved in the doctoral programs at each university, chairing dissertations, teaching doctoral seminars. And for a while at Georgia State University, I was the coordinator of the doctoral program. And doctoral students, number one, other colleagues, also important. And I think to meet those colleagues, it used to be, but this is probably changing because of the pandemic now, but it used to be go to conferences, meet other people, look at their research, see if it paralleled with your research, and then talk to them about their ideas, share your ideas, and that not only helps you, but it helps them. And at some point, if there's enough parallel and interest, you say, well, let's write something together. And so I've written a few things, sole author, but I much prefer to work with doctoral students and other colleagues. And the thing that you gain from that is that there are a lot of areas of expertise required today to publish in a journal like the Journal of Marketing. And I'm not sure that everyone, there may be a few people, very few rare people, but not everyone has all of those necessary skills to publish in a journal like the Journal of Marketing. It requires a good skill at theory building. You need to be able to collect data. You need to be able to be very competently analyze it, oftentimes in a very rigorous mathematical way. And then you also have to be able to respond to the reviewers' comments and see what are really important and what changes you have to make and which ones you might discuss with the editor or the reviewers. Well, this is a very interesting idea, but it's something for future research. Or this is a very interesting idea, but it's not really within the scope of this study. And then you also need to be able to find sources of funding. It's good to always do funded research. And my university right now is putting extra emphasis on sponsored research. And by that, they mean money that companies will donate to the university to help you with research, or like National Science Foundation grants or other kinds of government grants that will support your research. And this has become very important now. as we're a state university, and the state university has slowly over the years started to cut the amount of funds that go into the university. So we've created some ways in ourselves to generate funds internally. We've started some special programs that have higher tuition than the normal state programs. We have a professional MBA program. We have an executive MBA program. We have one of my favorites now is the DBA program. It's for executives who have an MBA. They've been out for 10, 15 years. They've moved higher in the company. And one of the selling points for this was after about 8 years, the half-life of an MBA is gone. And so how do you retool? And one of the way, and the rising amount of digitalization as well, and big data, is executives now really need to be able to understand research, do it to a certain degree. And so we started this DBA program. And the students come from high-level positions in well-known companies with the intention that they will go back to the company and not become a professor, although a few of them have. And so working with those students gives you really good access to company data, sometimes company funding. They do some really interesting projects as part of their dissertation. And as my advisor, I oftentimes will co-publish the article with them that comes from their dissertation. And as I said, with respect to research, just keep doing it. And you need to have a good pipeline. You need to always have manuscripts in potential flow toward becoming an article. Basic idea, starting to collect data, analyzing data. And so you don't want to focus on one project and then have another 2 or 3 years, which is typically the lifetime of a manuscript or research idea before it's actually published. 2 or 3 years is not unusual now, from idea to article. So you need to keep that pipeline full. And one of my philosophies too has been, it's important to publish in the top journals, journal marketing research, journal of consumer studies, if you study that mundane, unimportant kind of B2C stuff. Some people do publish there. B2B people oftentimes don't. I think in the 40-year history of the Journal of Consumer Research, they published 2 to B2B articles, but there's a marketing science and others. And then what's also interesting is there are a lot of good places to publish B2B research outside of those that are also considered top-tier journals, like the Journal of Applied Psychology or the Journal of the Academy of Management. I think our research can be published there as well. But you don't always have to publish everything there. I think it's important maybe to submit there first. If it's not accepted there, then look for another journal that is appropriate for your research and see if they'll be interested in it. So that's it, Jose.
Great. And then we can hear now from Cristina, Barbara, and Enrique. And at the end, we can have an overall discussion. So please, Cristina.
Thanks, Jose. I completely agree with Wes. And I want to share with you some reflections. And the other night, I was watching a Netflix movie with my son. The movie is Hustle, and my son is a basketball fan. I was struck with a sentence I used to repeat to my children. I used to tell my children, but also my PhD students. I'm the PhD coordinator at the University of Naples Federico II, and also my co-worker. And I want to let's watch a very short scene of this movie.
I fly home tomorrow.
Is that what you want to do?
You come all this way, have one bad day, and you're ready to back down?
No, but I suck.
Do you love this game? I mean, love it with your whole heart. Because if you don't, let's not even bother. Let's not open that door. They're just going to slam it right in our face. I love this game. I live this game. There's 1,000 other guys waiting in the wings who are obsessed with this game. Obsession is going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
Yeah, so I would like to share with you the idea that perseverance, obsession beat talent. And I think it's the most important thing or value that we can share with also our colleagues. And we also can imagine that at the beginning of the scene, how we every time we get a rejection. And of course, I can say, and I saw also several PhD students who want to give up after 1 or 2 rejections. I think that it's very important to don't give up, to perseverate. And also to perseverate, I would like to, I can say, to condivide what can be 4 main topics. I think I adopted, I also still adopt during my career. The first is dreaming. I think that we do a great jobs that is more than jobs because it's our passion. As in the movie, as we can see the coach and the player. And also I always remember a sentence Bob Lash told me during the first Naples Forum: you demonstrated that bold dreams are magical. I think that we need to be guided from our dreams. The second is networking. As Wes said before, we live in a texture of practices. Be connected with the people and resources. We have very few capabilities, very few resources. The knowledge is not so high, but together we really could. And I always learned a lot. And I always learn a lot from my colleagues. The most interesting things or papers I have published are with colleagues, with international colleagues. Another point is innovating. That is not only my favorite research topic, but it is also, I can say, a sort of way of thinking, a way of behaving in the idea to adopt a mindset of expansive learning in our daily routines, in our also collaboration with colleagues and friends. And last point is about co-creating. I think that also an important thing, especially nowadays, and very difficult times we live, also due to the pandemic waves, also the war, also I don't know what we can expect in the following year with the economic crisis or other difficult times, it to more and more research with a purpose. What is the purpose of our research? How can we contribute not only to companies, so of course to ourselves, but we can contribute to a wider societal well-being. So the idea of the value co-creation and the actors' well-being. I also choose verbs and not noun, dreaming, networking, innovating, co-creating, because nouns are static, verbs are dynamic, they keep on. And so I think that I can say my reflection on academic career and also some short advices also to PhD students or to young scholars is to dreaming, networking, innovating, and co-creating. Thanks a lot. You are mute, José.
Thank you so much, Cristina. Now it's time for Barbara, and we'd like to share your experience. And you have 5 responsibilities at the university. Also, you're a mother. You need to raise your children. A lot of struggles there. So, what can you share with us?
Thank you, Jose. And I think exactly, I mean, what Wes said, what Cristina said, I just want to go into it, but show it from a different point of view, like, because you asked me especially to show it how it's possible to become professor with the kids on your side and going this long way. So basically, just a few sentences to my curriculum. I'm now for more than 5 years a professor for B2B marketing and sales at Ravensburg Weingarten University in southern Germany. I'm also study dean in the meanwhile from our MBA program, International Business Management Sustainability. I'm director of international affairs, director of our international academy. Those are the jobs that come when you start like becoming a professor in the faculty. Before I entered as a professor, I was working also as a lecturer, but I think the interesting part is basically what did I do before becoming a professor on my academic path. And I started 2009. I was in the field from 2003 to 2009, working as a marketing manager, working as an area manager, got some practical experience. Then 2009 was quite a difficult year, and economic-wise, some problems also in Germany. And this was the moment when I, together with the decision becoming a mother, decided to go back into academics. And here it started. My son was born in 2010, my daughter in 2011. That was more or less a parental leave, because it was also starting working in academics as a doctoral student at the University of Bamberg. And my supervisor, Björn Evans, who you probably also know in the community, accompanied this way becoming from the PhD process, becoming also professor. And here, I thought some pictures might help. That was always a little bit of struggle, how to work in academics, to publish, to work on your PhD. And when I started, my son was very little, and then my daughter was very little. And even though my husband helped quite a bit, there was always something going on in the family. And also when I then was in the professorship, of course, sometimes the kids were with me. And here you can see my daughter with the students in class. And I think it's a mindset that you have also to live, to become together with the family, to follow the path for becoming a professor. And this is a statistics in German, but I think it's quite important to show in Germany, in my faculty, for example, we are 25 professors male and 3 women professors. And I know in other European countries, there are more also female professors, but in Germany still, there's a lack of female professors at university. And of course, we try to bring in also more female professors in our faculty, but it's not so easy. There are not so many out there in the market. And I think, and that's why I always encourage also young female PhD students to go on the way for becoming a professor, because it's not the skills that are missing. It's always like the circumstances in the country, regulations, also like the society, which sometimes hinders to go the next step and to become a professor. And what is my advice, what is really, really important, and Cristina said it, you really want to become a professor. That's the first thing. You never. It's a very long way. It's a marathon, and you shouldn't give up. And you have also to learn to set priorities. For example, as a mother, it was for me as a young mother. Then it was always difficult. Could I do something with the kids, or should I rather work on my PhD? And you have to learn to exclude yourself also from activities. And sometimes it's difficult because other mothers wouldn't understand. So that's a challenge. And then I think most important, you need the right people, of course, your partner, your husband, who always support you. You need the right friends, because some friends don't understand this project. And I have realized the most difficult part was always also other women, not men, because other women here in Germany who did not understand why would I become a professor when I now decided to have kids? And I think that's a very country-specific topic also, but I think other countries might have same issues. So you need to work to build up your professorship together with the family. I think the network, very, very important during the way on the long path. And then of course, and here many thanks always to my supervisors, first supervisor Björn, even second supervisor Catherine Pardo from EM Lyon Business School, who always supported it, because of course sometimes there were times that I couldn't work on the PhD like I would have been able to work without the kids. And there you need a lot of understanding and support also from your network, from the supervisors. So basically that was my input. Thanks, Jose.
Thank you, Cristina. Really interesting. And now, Enrique, please, we would like to hear from you because I met you many years ago. I met you many years ago, and I know that you have a lot of experience in publishing in top journals. Also, you have a lot of experience as editor-in-chief of a journal. But what, for me, the most outstanding thing of Enrique, maybe you would like to hear it from me, but you have supervised, to my knowledge, more than 30 or 35 PhD students, and 8 of them or 7 of them are already currently professors. Another, I don't know, 10, 12 are associate professors. So how do you do to develop, to help your doctoral students, now colleagues, to flourish in their research career and to get these professorships, associate professors?
Thank you, Jose. I'm not agree that we met many years ago. Let's say that we met, let's say 2 years ago. No, first, I'm totally agree with the things that I have heard before. So, in fact, I'm gonna, highlight a little bit some of the comments that I heard from from the other speakers. So, the first thing I have to say it is that this is a learning process, right? So never ends. Some of you have said that in a different way, etc. Don't give up and blah, blah. But at the end of the day, this is a learning process, and every day you have, or you can learn from others. And this is the second idea I would like to highlight. The concept of networking. This is probably the best thing that we can do in our job. And therefore, I would like to share with you a little bit of my background. I studied in a well-known and established university. From that point of view, I didn't need, let's say, many external contacts, because I was in a very good team. But even that, I would say that there are 2 clear recommendations from my side. The first one is to attend conferences. Maybe you can be a presenter or maybe not, but at least you have to attend conference. This is the first recommendation. So I still remember the first conference that I attended in Spain. It was obviously a domestic conference, so the size wasn't so big, but I learned something in that conference. Then I attended other conferences in Europe or in other parts of the world, and every time I have attended a conference, there is something new. There is a new fact that is saying something that might appeal to you for your future research, or you can set up a conversation for, why not, developing a joint collaboration. Maybe it can be ended up with a paper or maybe not, but at least you start a conversation for co-creating a relationship. If that relationship ends with a paper, that would be great. But if not, I'm sure that you will get with you some knowledge. So my first recommendation, therefore, is to attend conferences. And this is one example. Today we are attending this conference, and I'm sure that we are learning big things or short things or specific things from the presentations that we are attending. And the second one is okay, to visit other research groups, right? So that's why I started with my background saying that I studied in a well-established university. But every time I have visited other universities, not necessarily for a long period of time as a visiting scholar or whatever, I'm thinking in terms of maybe 1 week or 1 month or something like that. It's the best way for developing networks and maybe developing additional joint research, but also it's a way of learning how to approach and how to deal with the different issues. An issue could be how to respond to the reviewers, or how to prepare or approach the issue of the paper, or the introduction, or things like that. From that point of view, I was remembering, for preparing this presentation, I was remembering that a professor from other university, not from my university, she sent me 3 months ago WhatsApp saying, okay, I'm so happy because I got my tenure track as a professor, etc., etc. I would like to say thank you to you for your help, etc. I wasn't part of the committee. The only thing I did was that she came to our university 12 years ago. She was with us, and she was, yes, part of our, research meetings. It is true that at the end we published a paper together with other 2 more teachers from my department. But I would say that sometimes it's very useful to attend and to visit other research groups, just for having coffees, just for attending research seminars, just for looking at the way of approaching the issues. Maybe a coffee can help us more than a formal session like this one, in the sense that we are more, open to share, internal things, or the things that happened to us when we were addressing a comment made by the reviewers, and those kind of things. So from that point of view, I would say that that these are my the 2 recommendations. First, to attend conferences, maybe as a presenter, but it's not necessary to be a presenter. And the other one is to be a visiting scholar for short periods of time. Of course, if you can make longer periods, that would be obviously better. But I'm aware that sometimes the money is the issue, or the budgets, etc. But we are gonna receive a very early stage researcher from other university during July, and she wants to be with us for just 4 days, and she wants to be part of our meetings. She wants to be part of the experimental designs that we are conducting, or just listening to the studies that we have finished last week, or these kind of things sometimes help a lot. And as I finished as I started, I started in a very good university, in the sense that maybe I didn't need external support, but it was great attending conferences and visiting other research groups. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Enrique. So now it's time for discussion. You can ask questions to Wes, Cristina, Barbara, Enrique, or just open questions, comments about career or publication.
Enrique, I have a question. And this is something I've talked to Wes about too, because he's done this, but what would you suggest are, how do you get some of those visiting scholar things funded for like a month? Because I think I've tried reaching out to certain universities, and usually they want a really senior faculty who can help them, but my university here won't necessarily fund that. So I'm just curious what's a typical way those people can get over there.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a very interesting, Benjamin. It's a very interesting question. So definitely the best thing is to stay for longer periods of time. In fact, many universities don't accept people for less than 3 months as a reference. And also the funds are not easy to get when you are saying, no, I'm going to go just for a couple of weeks or something like that. But my suggestion here would be, okay, Once you are in a conference, when you are having a coffee with someone, then it's the right time for saying, hey, would you mind if I could visit you for, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month? I don't need extra funds. The only thing I might need is a space, a table, or an office for and attending your meetings, right? So because I mean, when researchers are not so, or they are young researchers, they don't have enough funds for visiting for longer periods of time. Obviously, if they have money or funds and so on, that would be better. But I would say that in most of the cases, I was telling you the story about someone that is going to visit us in a month, in fact, in 3 weeks. And she's going to be with us only 4 days. The first day is just for being part of one of our experiments. The second one will be for discussing her experimental design of her future study. The third one, she will be with other researchers of our research group. And the fourth day, she will be in our lab for, experiencing the way of approaching the studies, what are the main problems or issues that we face and how we try to fix them and so on.
Thank you.
Brett, you have a first, Brett?
Yes, thank you. If you guys could kind of discuss the interplay between a publishing strategy that's really based on volume and one that's based on quality. Because I'm right in the beginning of my career and I've kind of undertaken the volume strategy so far, and people are telling me to, focus less projects, higher quality. But if you guys that know way more than me could just discuss that, because I really am just so new at this that I would just like to hear what you have to say.
Wes, you're on mute. I think you're trying to talk.
Yeah, my basic view on that is it depends on the university that you're at. Different universities want them all to be in the top journals. Mid-range universities would like some occasionally in top journals, and then there are some universities which are mostly teaching oriented, and just the fact that you're doing research is good for them. But my personal view is that 10 articles in the premier journals, journal marketing research, etc., will give you a national, if not international, visibility. If you have 10 premier journal articles, you're well known in a lot of places. If you have 100 in journals that are not premier, you're a good researcher, but and you'll have some recognition, but I'm not sure that you're going to have that international reputation that 10 journal marketing articles would bring you.
Okay. Gillian, please.
Thank you. My first comment is to Barbara, and well done on balancing the kids and the PhD and making sure that you had that support system. It's not always easy. My question though is to, in fact, any of the panelists on partnering for writing journal articles, and what recommendations do you have on selecting the right partner and managing expectations for that partnership? So in terms of even managing contributions, like the volume of contributions from the various partners, how do you manage that process? How much is too little for one partner versus another partner in writing articles? Thank you.
Cristina, do you want to say?
Yeah, thanks. First, I want to say that I have 3 children, so I can understand very well Barbara, and I sent an email I understand. And also, I add to Enrique that in my experience, it is also important to the kids. I also use the strategy to invite colleagues. I invite Ever Gumeson, I invite Steve Argo and Bob Lush in Naples. So you have also the opportunity to balance an international conference within the city. And for the other question, how to balance I can say the collaboration in A+ journal, I think that maybe we also should catch a sort of serendipitous, I can say, emerging process. It is not always so a strategic effort, but we have also to follow our a sense of empathy with our colleagues. And when you attend conferences and you, I can say, something that you feel, and you step by step try to start a collaboration, and it can also last a few months, also years, to write a paper, and it's difficult. It's not a formula. It's really a perseverance, and there are some colleagues where you write a paper, it's enough because it's very hard, and other where there is really empathy, really understanding, and they become, I can say, in some way your co-authors more than others.
Could I say one sentence also, Jose? Just another sentence, Jillian. First of all, thanks for the credits, but I think we have some women here in the audience who have the same experience, but I think it's important to talk about it really. How can you get the right feeling when you when you're in cooperation, in academic cooperations? I think my experience was really you find the colleagues who you can work with, and you get a feeling. Do you all work more or less the same? Is there like a good communication? Can you rely on the colleagues? And then also I was in project where I realized, oh, in the end of the day, it's like me doing quite some work and there's nothing coming back. And I think that's the moment where you have to quit then. And I think you also have to learn to quit, even though you're not like in a full professorship, maybe not yet. I don't know about whether you're like on the path wherever you are in the academic career, but that also belongs to it, I think. Yeah, because you have to position yourself and then you'll find your colleagues, and then you can really work efficiently, and then it's really good to cooperate in academic research with the colleagues, and that's the network, and it will grow. That was my experience.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
I would say it depends on a couple of things. One is it primarily your research idea, in which case I think you're looking for help. And that might be a colleague more junior to you who would like to learn how to do research from someone who is more advanced. I think if it's something that you're targeting to a premier journal, then it's always helpful to partner with someone that's also published in a premier journal. If you need skills in a particular area, looking for a person that has those skills, like say structural equation modeling, or of qualitative research using in vivo or something like that. So you might want to pick them by skills, by what journals you're targeting. So there's a couple issues that play into that.
Thank you.
Jamil, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is my questions. Okay, for Wesley, please. Yes, you are right about the balance, okay, or focusing on equality papers in general. But in our academic career, we have a trend now: publish or perish. Okay, we are working under pressure, and we have to publish to satisfy accreditation units and others. I know that you are expert in this field. I would like to hear for specific tips as a reader for any papers that you can advise us in the future. For example, when you catch some points, this paper has a potential to publish in the future. Can you please guide us or help us in this way with some tips? Thank you, Wes.
Who are you addressing?
I need to hear from Wes, okay, some recommendation or tips, okay, for potential publication in the future. What exactly, when he read any paper, he grasp his eyes, what exactly let him, okay, to proceed with this paper and go furthermore, okay, to send it to the reviewers. Just some tips, advices from him as an expert in this field.
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Yes, Wesley, please.
Okay. So it sounds like targeting journals, responding to reviews, and managing reviewers. Is that correct?
No, it's not like that.
Interesting for you as an editor, no? What you find interesting as an editor, not able to say that.
Exactly, yes, as an editor.
What catches your eyes when you see a paper to proceed with the publication?
Oh, what papers do attract me, and what papers, and how I manage the review? Okay, well, first of all, it's the Journal of Business and Industrial Marketing, and we try to keep a fairly narrow focus on the mainstream aspects of business-to-business marketing. So each journal has its area of focus. So what's helpful, I think, is if you're thinking about publishing in a certain journal, you need to do a couple of things. And I'm surprised how often papers submitted to my journal, the authors aren't doing that. The first thing is to see and most journals have guidelines for authors, and the focus of the journal online at the journal's website. But I get journals on consumer behavior, and I get or articles on consumer behavior and tourism and other things like that, which really don't fit. So that's a desk reject immediately. It's just not in the focus of our journal. Now, sometimes I'll broaden that out a little bit. I've been accepting more articles on entrepreneurship and supply chain management and things like that. If I'll look at it and see, does this really fit? And some of those articles do, not all of them. Another area is sales. Oftentimes, sales, if the data is business to business salespeople, then it fits. If it's retail salespeople, then it doesn't fit. And also, another area that doesn't fit is retailing of consumer products. So that's the first issue. Then the second issue is the quality of it, and then we have some normal. If it's over too many words, it gets rejected. I think right now we have a target number of words of 12,000, and that includes counting words for tables and figures and things. So 12,000 maximum. And once I get the paper, then I assign it to, we just talked about at the beginning of the meeting, I've recruited a number of associate editors by specialty in different areas, and I'll assign it to the associate editor that has expertise in that area, and then they will assign it to the reviewers. And we can call up reviewers by keywords to see if they feel that they are specialists in those areas. So then we'll assign the reviewers by the keywords, and when it comes back, it goes back through the editorial, the associate editor, and then they look at the reviewers' comments and forward it to me with their comment, and then I make a decision on it.
Okay, thank you, Lorena. We have
Thank you.
Lorena and Maria, because we are running out of time. Please, Lorena.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, all the presenters. Just a quick comment, because it was really interesting, everything that you were commenting, and especially talking about networking and the importance of networks, right? And one thing that resonated was related to Barbara's comment on how difficult it may be sometimes for women at the entry level to find role models, or to find inspirational figures to some extent, because there might not be that many women professors in their universities, in their areas of expertise, and so on and so on, especially we are thinking about technical, more technical aspects. So probably I would love to hear, because in my case, it was a learning process. I was lucky because during my doctoral students, the principal investigator of my group, it's a woman, a very well-known professor in Spain, but in some other cases it might be difficult. How did you do actually to find those specific networks that it might not be only content-wise or academic-wise, but career-wise? How did you identify, how did you found that support, or how do you even try to support entry-level at the moment, right? I'm Cristina, Barbara, Enrique. Enrique, hi, nice to see you.
Lorena, thank you very much for the question. It's I can tell you about here in Germany, we do have programs really where young women are encouraged for becoming professors, and this is now really strong because also in politics, it's now a big issue that there's not enough women in academics. So I encourage myself in this network now, because I was served as a PhD student, I was supported there and I got a scholarship there. It was a scholarship for young women who leave their profession, their career outside in the field in order to come back in academics and to do a PhD with the aim becoming a professor. But still, I think we really have to, in the network, to identify the people who help you on the way. And that's one thing, as I just said, like I think also some supervisors in PhD programs might be difficult because we wouldn't understand what is more important. For example, when the family issue comes along, is it the kids or is it the PhD program? So there it starts, right? And then, but I think you can really identify those supporters. And then once you are in, that's now my position, I really encourage young women, and you have to be an example. And I think it's important to talk about that. And in my opinion, women have to, if you have the skills, it's not about the skills. We don't have to discuss the skills. I think it's like really, how can you overcome the system? Yeah, and that's why I encourage young women, and that's why I think it's important also to give advices and also to mentor young women on the way.
Yeah, if I can add, I think that as professors, we can support our, I can say, young scholars every day. I have one of my previous PhD students, and now my collaborator, she is expecting her second child. So I think also how we let them feel every day, how we involve, engage them, it's really important. I always tell that the happiest person when I had my third child was my professor. Happiest than me, that I was a little scared. And also, I think that also Barbara can tell, I can say also strange thing that whenever came and we had to visit Capri, my babysitter gave up. So I had to take with me my first daughter. She was 2 years, and forever it was completely normal. And we enjoy all the day speaking about work and papers and other things with the baby with us in a very relaxed way. So it is very important, not only what we say, but how we behave and how other people, especially how our collaborators, can see in our behaviors.
Thank you, Cristina. And just a final comment, maybe Maria Jose, because we're running out of time.
We're running out of time. So just my congratulations. I really like, and I identify myself. My question was connected with Lorena's, how to build, because I agree we have to build a network in this process, but the right network is difficult to identify, and how to do it and how to find the right collaborators and the right congress. I think we have so much information that it's not easy for new researchers to find this right connections.
And it's helpful.
So Cristina,
Yeah. I maybe you are you mute?
It's fine.
Yeah. The right connections. I think that when you can see the right connections, of course there are so many, I can say, colleagues, but I think you can feel also the empathy or the shared also values with other colleagues, and the step after another step.
Well, thank you, Wes. Thank you, Cristina, Barbara, and Enrique, and all of you for this wonderful session. We need to finish now. We have taken the time of the break, so we will go directly into the second session. And we just like to say, good thing is that we like to expand this community, not during the conference. So I'm planning to open a Google group, probably, maybe any other format you would like to suggest, to keep this community and to provide mentoring. And Wes, you were talking about technical training. For instance, I know that many universities, in my university, we have training sessions about in vivo, as I said, qualitative comparative analysis, structural model, etc. So maybe we can share our training courses, our expertise. Maybe we can help each other in a more efficient way.